In the WNBA preseason, the Indiana Fever finished undefeated. Caitlin Clark is shooting from distances that shouldn't even be permitted on a basketball court, and Lexi Hall is becoming the team's not-secret fourth-quarter weapon. As one insider put it plainly, I think Caitlin Clark may have even increased her range. She is shooting the deep ones like they are nothing. The Indiana Fever ended the preseason with a 3-0 victory over the Mystics, a victory over the Brazilian national team, and another victory this afternoon against the Atlanta Dream. When I watch the Fever, even when they're not playing at their best, I can't help but think that they're going to run teams off the floor and destroy them with their firepower. They have so many players that can beat you and score. But did you know that Sophie Cunningham started this game in place of Dana Bonner? That's why they had a perfect 3-win, 0-loss sweep, but it wasn't without drama. Key players, worrying injury, and unexpected comments from their Atlanta Dream opponents. Less than 24 hours before the Fever's final preseason game against the Atlanta Dream, Caitlin Clark nearly missed it. The news shocked everyone as Clark had collided with a practice player during the team's final workout, hitting the same leg that had previously been strained. They were just doing a drill. And if you're looking, Caitlin Clark pulls up. Many people are saying that it's not the end of the world. Imagine this moment. The Fever medical staff is rushing to evaluate their star rookie while the team's with 2 wins and 0 losses hanging in the balance. Their star player was sitting on the sidelines with an ice pack. Fans began to wonder if this was a sign of things to come, if the pressure of playing professional basketball was already wearing on the team's medical staff. As social media erupted in rumors, they wondered if Clark would miss her final preseason opportunity and if this would affect her availability for the regular season opener. Coach has said that you've been limited in practice this week. How are you kind of working back from that leg injury? I think taking my time. I feel great. Sincerely, I'm eager to play again tomorrow. Maria has been excellent, and our medical staff has been very helpful. However, I feel great. Then came the news that Clark was cleared to play, and instead of just playing, she would start the game. The injury scare abruptly became a footnote rather than a headline. There's no reason to overdo anything right now. The season has just begun, and you won't play here for another week. However, the last 2 days have been really good for me. You weren't started. What caused it to get me? I don't think it's just a little too much basketball. I love going to the gym, but I think it's important to know when to be there, when to recover, and other things like that. So I think it was just finding a balance and obviously just getting back into the swing of things. But yeah, it wasn't anything major or anything like that. From the first few minutes, it was obvious that Clark wasn't holding anything back. She launched shots from a distance that made defenders look completely helpless. Sports Illustrated WNBA analyst Robin Lundberg noticed something even more impressive, writing on X, I think Caitlin Clark may have even increased her range because she is shooting the deep ones like they are nothing. It wasn't just a player experimenting with professional basketball. This was Caitlin Clark announcing her arrival. By the end of the game, Clark had overcome the pregame injury concern to post an impressive stat line of 13 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds in just 23 minutes of play. Natasha Howard gets the baskets, step back triple Del Mitchell to the rim, and that's Ken Clark top of the key and drains her triple. This particular three-pointer from near the logo reminded fans of her famous shot from Iowa a week ago. The Atlanta defenders could only watch as the ball arced high and fell perfectly through the net. The Fever had achieved something special as the final buzzer sounded on the 81-76 victory over Atlanta, a perfect 3-win, 0-loss preseason sweep. What began as a moment of concern ended with growing expectations for what this team might accomplish when the games really start to count. As the game was close, going into the fourth quarter, an unexpected hero for Indiana emerged. And her name wasn't Caitlin Clark. The focus shifted to Lexi Hall, who had been quietly improving her game throughout the preseason and acclimated to her new role from the bench. Keep in mind that last year, Hall started the final stretch of the season and became a dependable offensive and defensive weapon during that stretch, even becoming the hottest three-point shooter in the league at the time, and now BG claims she's rediscovering her love for the game, saying, "Alina reminds me of home. I'm back in the South, and this was the best dishes of my life." She is fine, just needing some rest, so we won't see her for the remainder of the game. Yes, we can't give out all our weapons turnover because Matt Hochville got a little too deep in, but Paul has graciously begun coming off the bench this season because of the new all-star free agent additions. There was something different about her during this game. There was a confidence in her step, a certainty in her movements that attracted everyone's attention. We're getting a lot of good reps in practice, and I think that confidence comes from getting the game-like reps over and over again in practice. Our team is very competitive, so every day at training camp so far has felt pretty much game-like we're all taking it very seriously. And yes, it starts in practice. The Atlanta Dream kept pushing, threatening at every possession to hand the Fever their first preseason loss. The tension in the arena was growing. Would Indiana's perfect record survive? When Hall took matters into her own hands, Hall found lanes through defenders that didn't seem to exist and pulled up for mid-range jumpers with defenders in her face as if they weren't there. In one particularly impressive play, she split two Dream defenders before finishing with a smooth layup at the rim, and they said, "Nah, shoot that thing when you open." Lexi Hall gets downhill and finds the bucket and won. And this will be Indiana's largest lead. Hall's impact extended beyond just scoring. When you accept your role, as Lexi does, you can't allow it to put you in a box, right? Said Stephanie White, the game coach, highlighting how Hall had embraced her responsibilities while continuing to expand her game. You saw that the second half of last season, her starting to grow into that, I think. Her court awareness put teammates in perfect positions for easy buckets. The Dream simply had no answer for Hall's determined play down the stretch. You saw it a lot in Unrivaled as well. It unlocked, I believe, a little bit of creativity. Sometimes, as a young player in this league, you accept your role, as Lexi does, but you can't let it put you in a box like you still are. Your role can change throughout a season and throughout your career. White highlighted how Hall's creativity has grown and how the team has come to trust her decision-making. She's done a really good job of putting herself in a position for that. The coach was obviously happy with Hall's development. Hall, for her part, credited the competitive practice environment for her fourth quarter. Heroic's confidence comes from performing the game-like repetitions repeatedly in practice. She explained that her experience winning a championship in the unmatched 3-on-3 league had also improved her defensive and one-on-one play. I think more than anything, we're a deep team. And I think everyone's really bought into trusting the process this season. It might not start off very pretty, but we know that putting in the work, putting in trust into the coaching staff, trusting each other, that by the end of the season, we'll be exactly where we want to be. At the final buzzer, Hall had changed from a role player to a game changer, scoring 11 of her 14 points in that pivotal fourth quarter to seal the victory. The official statistics tell the story. Hall's ability to score efficiently under pressure helped close out the game when the Fever needed it most. Her performance wasn't just impressive. It could potentially change the dynamics of the Fever's rotation going into the regular season. But you can't let it put you in a box, though, because your role can change throughout a season. It's a tribute to the work that she's put in, the confidence that she's built with her discipline and work ethic in the offseason, and you trust her on the floor to make the right play and make the right read. With Hall emerging as a reliable clutch performer off the bench, the Fever suddenly looked much deeper than many expected. In just one game, Hall may have gone from being a key contributor to an exclamation point in Indiana's quest to make noise in the upcoming season. The game wasn't without its tense moments, including one that revealed a side of Caitlin Clark that fans always hope they don't see. Halfway through the second quarter, Clark found herself in the spotlight for something other than her incredible shooting. She received a technical foul demonstrating her true competitiveness as they are now only 1 point behind. Imagine this. Clark tries a bounce pass that is intercepted by the Dream, resulting in a quick break layup by Atlanta's Brianna Jones. Clark obviously felt a foul should have been called on the play, and her ire erupts instantly. After Jones scored, the referee didn't hesitate to call a technical foul on Clark, and she threw the ball against the hoop. Sophie Cunningham, who is known for her fiery competitiveness, quickly stepped in as the voice of reason as Clark continued to argue with the officials. She essentially played the role of veteran protector, making sure the star didn't talk herself into a more serious situation with the officials. Cunningham actually stepped on someone's foot and turned her ankle, forcing her to leave the game. This is where things get interesting. Later, after playing peacekeeper for Clark, Cunningham faced her own challenge in the third quarter. That's when things got interesting. Cunningham went up for a rebound and landed awkwardly on Reinhardt's foot. As soon as she came down, it was obvious that something was wrong. She fell to the court and then hopped to the Fever's bench, clearly in pain. Her injury was later determined to be a right ankle issue, and she was listed as doubtful to return. Hopefully Sophie Cunningham is healthy going into that game. I know she was seen wearing a walking boot afterward, but that's normal. It wasn't a serious injury, but that doesn't mean it will be healthy in a week. Will this injury affect the team's regular season plans, Coach? Despite these moments of tension and anxiety, the game also featured incredible displays of sportsmanship that remind us what makes certain teams unique. Before and after the final buzzer, players from both teams shared that Cunningham herself said, "I'll be fine." Stephanie White's post-game comments revealed that Cunningham was already getting into a cold tub after the game, suggesting the team was taking immediate steps toward recovery. However, no immediate testing was done on the ankle, leaving some uncertainty heading toward the season opener. I don't think so. Hugs and conversations between rivals demonstrated that genuine connections can still be made despite intense competition on the court. One particularly noteworthy moment captured on camera was when Clark and Brittney Griner embraced warmly after the game, despite barely sharing court time. Fans noticed and appreciated this moment, with one commenting, "Great respect from Clark and Griner. These small gestures are important in creating the league's culture." The technical foul moment demonstrated both Clark's fierce competitive drive and the team's protective chemistry. We witnessed a player who is deeply committed to winning and won't give up. We did a better job of handling the ball in the second half. I was disappointed that we had 10 first-half turnovers, a lot of which were trying to force things that just weren't there. I didn't feel like we were patient enough to get into our offense. In the meantime, Cunningham's injury raised legitimate questions about her availability for the season opener against. However, I always love it when we have a high assist to made field goal ratio, and I think we're going to find a lot of success when that happens for us. They came in and made an impact, without a doubt. The Fever demonstrated that they have the fire necessary to compete at the highest level while still maintaining the class and sportsmanship that fosters positive relationships across the league. Fans witnessed not only talented individuals, but also a team starting to form an identity that is competitive, passionate, and respectful of the game and their opponents. The preseason is over, and the team is able to hold the team to 34% from the field. I mean, all points of emphasis for us, and even though it's not always that pretty, it's progress, and that's what we need. With their perfect 3-win, 0-loss record, the Indiana Fever have put the entire WNBA on notice. But what does this run actually tell us about what's coming? It's not just about winning exhibition games, it's about glimpses of something special developing in Indiana way ahead of schedule. The chemistry between Clark, Hall, Boston Mitchell, and the rest of the roster has occasionally looked almost effortless. The question now is whether this momentum will hold up when the league's teams encounter the brutal reality of the regular season. Teams all over the league have been watching film, especially on Clark, developing specialized defensive schemes to disrupt her rhythm and limit her impact. The Fever's first test is on May 17th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse against the Chicago Sky, a nationally televised game on ABC that everyone is checking off their calendars. the Sky present immediate challenges with their defensive schemes, which are likely to focus on denying Clark the ball and jumping screens to throw her off her game. More importantly, though, we want to see growth and an understanding of how we're able to utilize our depth. Regarding Sophie Cunningham's ankle injury sustained during the Atlanta game, Coach White revealed that Cunningham herself stated, "I'll be fine," and was already in the cold tub post-game. Her availability for the opener remains a question mark, but her attitude speaks volumes about this team's resilience, though. Sophie is a lot of fun to play with because she has a unique energy that you can't teach or tell people to act like, because you either have that or you don't. And playing with her allows you to feed off of that. The crowd feeds off her, so it's a lot of fun, and I'm thankful to be able to play with her. The relationship between Clark and Hall, their chemistry against Atlanta showed glimpses of what could become one of the league's most dangerous offensive combinations. Yeah, just giving a different kind of look and seeing what we might be able to do from that standpoint with Sophie's energy in the starting lineup and with DB's production coming off the bench. So, we'll probably continue to tinker a little bit throughout the week. But preseason gives us a good opportunity to see what we like, because it's important to have a good starting group, and it's important to have energy and production off the bench. The growing depth of Hull's development is a perfect example of this. The role players are demonstrating that they belong on the big stage, forming a rotation that may be deeper than anyone anticipated going into the season. The Fever still need to improve in a few areas, but Coach White stressed that they're beginning to really build layers into our attack offensively and our coverages defensively, suggesting that there is still significant growth potential. The growth process, or the growth edge for young competitive players, is how you channel your injury energy. Just like Tamika Catchings was. Although no one is planning a championship parade, this preseason demonstrated why Indiana's future appears brighter than it has in years. The foundation is undoubtedly in place for something special to happen, possibly sooner than anyone expected. This flawless preseason sweep reveals something special brewing in Indiana. Is it too early to talk about a dynasty? Maybe, but the pieces are there. Clark's star power, Hall's increasing confidence, and chemistry that typically takes years to build. The Fever play the Chicago Sky on May 17 at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The real question isn't whether this Fever team will make noise in 2025, but rather how loud that noise will be. If you're eager for the season to begin, leave a comment below, like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss it. Click the video on the screen and we'll see you in the next one on ABC. They'll carry more than just momentum. They faced adversity together, injury scares, technical fouls, tough moments, and came out unscathed.